right, third video of CAGED system. So let's review. The first video we worked on Hey Joe, so we learned like our basic campfire chords, and we also had a little bit of foreshadowing with the chording thing of seeing the shape, how that looks on the neck, how that bass motion looks. So that was video 1. Video 2, we took those campfire chords and turned them into movable chords. And then that set us up to see where the CAGED system gets its name from. Is if you order these things as you go up the neck, so in the case of if I'm in the key of D, it spells CAGED. So C shape, pattern 1, A shape, pattern 2, G shape, pattern 3, E shape, pattern 4, and then pattern 5, D shape. Now, on this lesson, I want us to talk about these scales that are associated with this. So let's start here. So this is pattern 1. Let's see, what can I do here? I'm gonna keep the roots red, and I'm gonna make the secondary notes blue, so you can kind of see the chord there. Maybe not blue. Maybe I feel like Bob Ross right now. Happy trees, happy chords. Hopefully you can kind of see that. So let's go back to our example in D. Now we play the scale. So what we do, typically at the time of this video, I'm teaching at Musicians Institute, and the way they test, they evaluate you for these scales is you have to play from the lowest root. In this case, it's the one we're starting with our pinky. Then we play up to the highest note, and then all the way down to the lowest note, and then back to here. So there, kind of a nice little circuit, right? So that looks like this. Let's see here. So I got up to the high note. Right, so I got down to the low note. I played back up to the root. So one more time, let's play it together. I'll count us off. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, so that's your pattern 1 C shape. So a lot of times when we start out, there's a lot of terms that can be confusing for people. So maybe let me take a quick second here and talk about this. So there's going to be, off the top of my head, let's say there's going to be 3 phrases. There's going to be the shape, there's going to be the pattern, and then what throws people is the key. So right now, we are in the key of D, meaning like D is our home base. But where I'm playing it is a movable version of a C chord. So that's where the shape gets its name. All right. So I might say C shape in the key of D. And then I'll let you guess. C is pattern 1. All right. So a lot of things to watch out for there. If I will get tripped up on my words a lot, but that when people are starting to learn this, I think that's a common thing people get tripped up on is they hear a lot of letters and numbers, and it can be very confusing. And, we're not going to talk about it as much in this video, but other numbers here, just to kind of talk about this, you see 1 corresponds to the first note of the scale. You might also see this referred to as the root. So you might see people put, an R. Let me go with green. Seems to pop better. People might go with an R, but the 1 also works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 notes in a major scale. 8 if you count the octave. That's a theory discussion. But for our purposes, it's 1 through 7, and then it starts with 1 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So that's another thing where you would have some numbers. We're not going to get too much into that today. But while we are talking about letters and numbers, there's that. All right, let's move on. So we were in the key of D. We did C shape. Let's go up to A shape. So this is a little confusing sometimes because while the chord that we play is our first finger, the scale actually starts on the middle finger. Because if you see below the root here, we're going to need our first finger there. So, and another thing that's confusing about this is when we go from this string to this string, we're going to do a position change. Position is just a fancy way of saying where your first finger is. So right now, my first finger is on the 5th fret. So you could say this is 5th position. But if I'm playing the scale, now my middle finger is on the 5th fret, which means my first finger is on the 4th fret. So this is going to be 4th position. Let's play up the scale. Now when we get to this note, we're going to switch from 4th position to 5th position. So now my first finger is on 5th position. Up to the highest note, going back down, 5th position. Now to get the position change going back down, I'm going to put my pinky on the 7th fret. And that sets me up to be back in 4th position. All right, so one more time, let's play it together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So again, I switched to the first finger to play the chord, but the scale, you want to start with the middle finger. Okay? So that's A shape. Pattern 2. In the key of D. There you go, just kind of giving you some practice here and all this terminology. So we're going to go from pattern 2 up to pattern 3. And the third letter of CAGED is G. All right? This is also going to involve a position change. So starting off, if my pinky's on the 10th fret, let's say a finger to a fret, which is how this normally works. I know the Berkeley system, and there's other systems where you can stretch. That's totally cool, but the CAGED system, it doesn't really do the stretches as much. So, you know, that's just how it is. Okay, pinky. Sometimes people will stretch and grab the 7th note here. But typically the way it's taught is that you're going to do a position change. So we were in 7th position. My first finger's on the 7th fret. Now we're going to switch for just this string to 6th position. And then I go back to 7th position to finish out the scale. Switch the position. Again, like when I'm going back down, putting the pinky first. I mean, you could put the ring finger. That's probably get away with it. Depends probably how big your hands are. Right? So I'm going from the low note, or from the lowest root up to the highest note. In this case, it happens to be the root. Down to the lowest note, the 6th, and then back to the root. I'll play this once and then we'll play it together. All right, let's play this together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, 2 more to go. So that started with our pinky. This next one, E shape. So if I'm still in the key of D, kind of like what we ran into in A shape pattern 2, the first finger is what you use when you play the chord. But when you start the scale, we're going to use our middle finger, okay? Lowest note. And this one doesn't involve a position change. Sometimes when people get to the B string, they might go to the first finger because first finger and ring finger are typically stronger. But the proper way to play this is you don't change position. So that means those 2 notes are going to be covered by your ring finger or your middle finger and your pinky. So all right. So let's play through this together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right. Now, last but not least, pattern 5, D shape in the key of D. D shape. Since we're in the key of D, that kind of works out. So just like the other ones, my first finger is used here if you want to use the movable D shape. I rarely use this shape personally, but maybe you dig it. Maybe you can make some cool music out of it. But when we play the scale, typically you'll start with your middle finger. And then this has a couple position changes. So if you've kind of been noticing, with the exception of G shape, where we would use our middle finger for this, everything else can be thought of as these notes that are, let's call it the ceiling. You know, like if this is the floor, this is the ceiling. Ceiling is going to be your first finger. The floor is going to be your ring finger or pinky. So that looks like this. And then I need to switch position. Pinky leads. So now I'm in 11th position. My first finger's on the 11th fret, those two strings. And now, you know, you can decide. You can do a ring finger, first finger, or sometimes people will do that. But I recommend doing the position change on the A string because it makes the next string easier. Where you're, in this case, my pinky is on the 15th fret. All the way up there in G. I don't know if you can see it. It's not a great angle, but all right. So this one, I find this one gives people the biggest trouble, but I don't think it's necessary because it's awkward. I think mostly it's because it's the last one we typically teach at MI. So hopefully, since you're learning them all together, they'll all come up equally. So I'm a big fan of just learning all these as soon as you can, getting them under your fingers, because it's like, like learning your ABCs. Scales by themselves are not music. I mean, music can consist of a lot of scale runs, but scales by themselves are not music. But they are a tool for us to learn to make music, just like letters are a way to make words, and words make stories and things like that. So sorry to digress. Let's play the scale together. So we're going to start on the D string, 12th fret, middle finger. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So to review, I'm just going to kind of go through all these really slow in the key of D, and then maybe we'll try a different key just to get that practice of seeing how the CAGED system looks up and down the neck. So again, back to the key of D. So second position, my first finger's on the 2nd fret. Pinky's on the 5th fret. Let's play up the scale. Let's do this scale. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Kind of what we did last video where we would find those roots. Those are important. Now let's go up to A shape. This one starts with our middle finger. 3 and 4 and. probably not saying the best example. I think I don't really use my pinky enough when I'm actually playing. So, you know, you'll have better technique than me if you learn it the right way. So that's the proper way. Okay, let's go on to G shape. Oh yeah, so there's your roots. Put the first finger where the ring finger was. Now you got those G shape roots. All right, 3 and 4 and. Oops. All right. All right, let's go on to E shape. Oh, come on now. There we go. Starting with our middle finger. Here we go. 3 and 4 and. Very nice. And then finally, where my ring finger was, I'm going to replace that with the first finger. And now we're in pattern 5 D shape. Scale starts on the middle finger. Here we go. 3 and 4 and. Now, just to kind of get us out of the ordinary, let's do the same thing, but in the key of G. So let's think about it. We got our G shape. Actually, let's pick a more random one. Let's do something like A flat. A half step up from G. So let's see. Where's our low root? Oh, what do you know? So what's the lowest shape we can do here? Well, we can try G shape. May not quite work, but you know. See, let's go. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and do it since we're here. So A flat, my pinky's there. I'm thinking pattern 3. So I'm starting on the third letter of CAGED. So let's play up that. Now this note right here ends up being an open note in this context, but let's roll with it. I'm going to kind of speed through it because I don't want this lesson to get too long. You can always go back and slow this down to watch, you know. So there's your pattern 3. Let's go to pattern 4. So first finger. Find those roots, the chord, and now let's play the scale. 3 and 4 and. All right, now we go into pattern 5. That was pattern 4. Now we're into pattern 5. D shape. All right, middle finger on an A flat. That's going to be 6th fret on the D string. Here we go. 3 and 4 and. Almost there. So that was pattern 5. So if you remember, you get to the end of the word caged, you just start the word over again. So we're going to go back to the first letter, which is C. I got to tune this guitar on the next, between the now and the next video. Here we go. So let's play the C shape. 3 and 4 and. Alright. And finally, A shape, pattern 2. Middle finger starts the scale. Here we go. 3 and 4 and. And then like that, we're back to where we started. All right, so spend time with this. You know, I would even say too, once you get comfortable with like knowing the notes on the scale, set up like a cello drone or like a play along track or something like that and have some fun with it. So let me see if I can kind of simulate that. All right, so check this out. If we go to like musician, I can't talk today. Musicians practice partner. I'll try to link this here. But they have a cool playlist that's literally just cello drones. So let's pick one in D. Let's see if I can. So now you can see this. I'll make this a little bit bigger. It's a little loud. Hold on a second here. Sorry. So now you got this. You've eaten your vegetables. Let's say you did your homework. You worked out the notes on the scale. Now it's time to explore and play around with this. Making sure we can hear this all right. So, go up and down, explore, you know. And maybe when you get comfortable with that, go to like A pattern. It's kind of fun to do like hammer-ons and pull-offs. Each pattern has weaknesses and strengths, just like anything, right? Then go up to pattern 3. Pattern 4. And finally, pattern 5. So the idea is you're putting in this work, but really I find for me when I learn this stuff is do the exercise first. That's your first step. But then start having fun with this stuff. You know, I think that's when it really starts to click for me. So hopefully that helps. Now that you've got all the basic scale patterns, I'm going to show you how we warm up in jazz guitar. So, so if you're into that, come check us out in the next video. All right, see you there.